Yo, what up gamers, I'm Dark, and welcome to my 11.22 ADC tier list. Yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Nah, I'm just kidding. So we got a few ADC changes in the patch notes, so just cover those real quick. So we got a buff to Varus and also to Kalista. Kalista's buff. E damage ratio increased. So that's gonna be a buff both to the initial E, like the first E, which is like the highest damaging E. Then every stack after that also gets a little bit increased damage. Honestly, I don't know how to rate this. Our win rate so far went up by about 2%, but it's out of like 3k games, might still go down. I'm guessing it does make her a little bit better though, which is good. And the impact over my tier list is that, well, she's still D tier, but it means that D tier is better than it was before, which sucks Auction down from C tier into D tier. So this doesn't mean that Auction is any worse than it was in the previous patch. This just means that being in D tier isn't as big a deal as it used to be, since now Kalista doesn't suck as much. Then we got also a change to Varus, which is E damage ratio increased. That's just going to be a straight buff to lethality Varus. Not too huge a buff though, I hope, but won't be affecting on Varus too badly, which basically means he doesn't really move up at all in my tier list where I have him right now. I have him in top of C tier because I think he's well, definitely underrated for sure. Maybe actually I should even put him in B tier, but I think his on-hit build is pretty good, or well, decent. And so any buff to lethality Varus, unless it's going to make it better than on-hit Varus, it just doesn't affect him at all in my placement. Because I think everybody, if they're playing Varus, should be playing on-hit. This makes it just slightly better, but it's not really a big buff. Should be a decent buff to lethality Varus though, but I don't know how to quantify it exactly. Yeah. Might see a probably 1 or 2% increase to lethality Varus's win rate, which is still pretty bad. It's really low at the moment. If I was judging Varus based on lethality Varus, it would be in D tier as well, probably at the bottom. But yeah, I mean, it should be a little bit better right now. So it wouldn't quite be at the bottom of D tier, but still pretty low though. Aside from that, big change is Xayah is now at the top of C tier, so sorry, top of S tier. So last patch, you remember what I said about Xayah? She got a 5% increase buff to her, 5 increase to her movement speed, and also some changes to her Q where it gets a lower cooldown per level. And so if you recall, I said I wasn't really too sure where I should place her, because if her skilling order stayed the same with Q being maxed lost, then that wasn't really a big change. But if it somehow pushed Q max into being the best ability for her to max, then that could potentially be a really big change that could make her really good, but I wasn't sure if that would happen or not, so I was like tentatively just leaving her in, I don't know if it was C tier or B tier. But it did end up pushing Q max into being her best build, so that already, people started doing Essence River Rush into Gale Force or whatever they wanted, whatever mythic they wanted, and that build was really strong, and already I would have put her at S tier for that. But like within the past few days, people have started doing this weird build, which is lethality, and just want to say really quickly, I told you so, because I've been playing some lethality Xayah on this channel semi-recently. I told you that shit was viable, but they've also been playing it with Airy. So they're playing this really weird poke style of Xayah with lethality. And that was, again, pushed on by this buff to her Q, which makes this sort of playstyle a lot better than it would have been before. I imagine it was still probably viable before. It was a little bit different from the style of lethality that I was doing. But I imagine this was also quite viable before, just people, it wasn't worth people like picking up or trying out. But now, it's absolutely busted. I've put her in S tier, but really she like belongs in another tier of her own, S plus tier or God tier, whatever you want to call it. She's way better than anything else at the moment. Like, since I've started my tier lists, there's never been an ADC as strong as Xayah is right now with this playstyle, in my opinion. She's honestly probably better than any of the mages. Like, those the top mages that you see in solo queue, like Ziggs, Karthus, nobody plays them because no ADC player likes playing mages. That's why we're called the ADC players, you know? But if I were to rank them, they would be like somewhere up here, right? Well, Xayah's probably just even a step above them. That's how strong she is right now. She's like, let me show you. Here you can see on this patch, there wasn't too many people playing this. It's only like within the past few days that it's blown up, but as you can see here, Like with Eclipse, just massive fucking win rate compared to anything else. Put out her builds. Here we go. 59% with Eclipse Manamoon, 58% with, well, pretty much 59% with Eclipse. Youmuu's just completely stands out over anything else here on this list. It's just an incredibly powerful build at the moment. You can see Airy as well, completely standing out over any other keystone because it's exclusively used with this build, which is incredibly powerful at the moment. And as you can see on 11.22, her win rate has just massively shot up. And that's partially because suddenly Eclipse is her most used item. I'm actually surprised this happened so fast. I haven't been keeping up with the game for like a past day or two. Then suddenly today I wake up, check out Xayah's stats, see where I should place her on my tier list, and all of a sudden, what the fuck, this came out of nowhere. But yep, it's just that powerful that it's just blown up completely overnight. You can see here 57% win rate with the Q into E skilling order. Insane. By far the strongest ADC we've ever seen, but like in recent years at least. Definitely the best ADC since my tier lists have started. So absolutely get on that shit, start playing her. It's probably really boring, I'm not gonna lie. Playing her without Berserker's Greaves, because you're gonna want to go Ionians, is gonna be really frustrating. You're barely gonna be able to put out any feathers with your auto attacks, but you're gonna have a massive amount of feathers being put down just with your Q, and just your Q poke alone gonna deal immense damage. And if you don't have to go Moramana, but I think you probably should. And if you do, you will be doing massive damage with that. I don't know if Q applies Moramana twice. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. But even without that, if you just a simple QE combo, not only will that proc Eclipse, because it's 2 hits, it'll also apply at least 2 hits of Moramana. And if the Q alone does apply 2 hits of Moramana, that's 3 Moramana hits just in one simple poke combo, which is going to be some absurd damage. That's absolutely crazy. Aside from that, I've moved Jinx down from S tier into A tier since I don't want to have S tier too crowded, and she's just not quite on the same level as anything else in S tier in my opinion. Yeah, besides that, no real other changes. I just want to point out that pretty much nothing is unplayable right now on ADC. Even though I have like all these ADCs like separated to such like different tiers where they're like so far apart from each other. I mean, even the stuff in D tier right now only has like a 49% win rate or so, which is not terrible. Like there's nothing you can't play right now. Everything is viable. You're gonna have obviously way better results with stuff in S tier than in D tier. So like if you're thinking about if you're already like used to playing B tier stuff, and you're thinking about maybe picking up something from C tier or D tier, you know, don't let their placing like influence you too much, so much as just checking out what results they give you personally. If you just happen to be really good at Kalista or really good at Akshan, and they're just working really well for you, I mean, that's perfectly normal, because they're not terrible. They're not that bad, honestly. Definitely a lot of variety is possible right now in the ADC role. The S tier and A tier, this is just for people who like really like maximizing their possible results, and it doesn't really matter to them what they play. They're good enough at everything, they have fun with everything. So then they just want to be playing the very best of the best. You know, that's what this is for. But you can play anything, for sure. Anyway, that is actually the end of this tier list, because I believe I've covered any of the changes. Anything else? Just drop any questions if you want to see how you should build any of these ADCs, what runes to use, etc. I'm happy to answer anything. If you guys enjoyed this video, and make sure to like and subscribe if you want to see more content like this in the future. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Later, gamers.